I'm truly delighted, alongside my running mate and on behalf of my party, to be given this opportunity to speak in church, and I'm sure for the first time, with such an opportunity being offered to candidates. Because of the zeal in us, we were on a trip but returned early hours of the day, and we have to be here. I thank God we came earlier than the candidates that you invited. Mr. President, my responses may be tough. And a son or a daughter of any country that refuses to speak up and only decides to now become a nagging person when the troubles engulfs the state, that person, he or she, are problems to the state, problems to the people, and should be ashamed of him or herself to say that I am standing to fight for people, or I have knowledge that I failed to use because of fear. Let me start it this way. When Jesus was given birth to, Jesus spoke at birth. He died at 33. 600 years after Prophet Muhammad was given birth to, the sign of prophecy on him started at 33. He was given prophethood at the age of 41. All of them spoke. They were persecuted. They faced hardship, conveying God Almighty's message to mankind. That aside, Mr. President, if from all failed states from that time till now, about 1,444 years, all failed states in the world and in the history of mankind, irrespective of whichever part of the world it is, they fell simply because of a definition. Unfortunately, the Bible and the Quran and God Almighty do not want to hear. When ignorance becomes power in any given state, that set of generation have failed God, they have failed mankind. Second, if you desire to have it rosy all through, you should know that there is no pain. When there is no pain, there is no gain. In Nigeria, we all want to have it rosy from all seasons we have had. You have had actors who created a definition called for myself, of myself, by myself, to myself. Exemplified greed that is lecturing the whole world. Now I start my responses. The sum totality of any governance, of any leadership provision in any part of the world, from the creation of Adam to date, to the modern one the President and the Vice President have spoken to, part 1 and 2, the total summary of what we have had this morning are 6. Just like when you're at the age of Jesus, 3 plus 3 gives you 6. The world is governed by 6. Till the end of time, north and south, west and east, up and down, nothing else. Every cycle of life is hanging around the 4 corners, the 6 corners. And again, in leadership, the followings are what any leader must do sincerely to itself. But under any of the 6 I'm going to talk about are broken down into volumes and volumes of books, but I will summarize it as follows. Once you are entrusted with leadership, dignifying the woman from the little baby born now to the oldest in the country must enjoy her rights fully, irrespective of what sort of leadership that the country or a community enjoys. And it's volumes of books. Second is empowering your youth, men and women, boys and girls. Empowering them true to itself. And that's why we agree with you when you talk about chapter 4 of the Constitution. We saw it as a law meant for some and not meant for some. And I will explain later. Another is to secure your country at all cost. It doesn't matter whom you hurt at home or whom you hurt outside your country. but your country is given to you on oath to get it fully secured true to the provisions of the law. And when in any society, persons who are from 60, 62, and 100 and beyond are regarded as elders, depending on the definition of that country, elders must be managed. Managed from welfare, security, health, and their ambitions, so that what they learned could now be seen to be passed to younger generations for them to remain guided. Number 5, at all costs and under any situation, the lost perceived heritage of a country and the core value of that country is a straightforward mission to elders, those in power, religious leaders, cultural leaders, and the security of that country. Mandatory, it must be restored to the people, to the country as a guide. It's missing in this constitutional, in this presidential system, and it is being killed every day. And number 6 is that that country, that leadership, or that government must, there is no excuse, must join the international community's ambition in returning the country to the mainstream of the attainment of the following 4 things. 1, security of your country. When you are looking at the security elsewhere, work out advantages there to improve your own and safeguard your country and your people. Look at the dangers and take precautionary measures to protect your people. 2nd is economy. The economy of your country must be improved upon by the day from the happenings within the international community. The reverse is the case in Nigeria, and I will talk about it. And that is why, at this point in time, all I want to say with all sense of humility, and that's why my happiness is the fact that I'm talking in church. You don't need fragile leadership. You don't need a leadership that will compromise oath of your country. And I will talk about that later too. 2nd is the economy of state. Sorry, I think I'll talk about that. 3rd is diplomacy. International diplomacy, as it suits your friends or opponents around the world, must be a topic you should take advantage to and improve on your own. And lastly, the government and the country and the church and the mosque, any other religion in that country must, no excuse, synergize to make their country relevant at international scene. With all sense of humility, that is a summary of what Mr. President has spoken to, and that is what Mr. Vice President has spoken to, part 1 and 2. And so it is globally. That is mandatory, be looked for from any leadership. Now you have spoken quite a lot, and I wish other candidates are here. And I wish also this same type of program came before primaries. All potential aspirants would have full a larger environment for them to look into you and for them to know this is the demand of the church. 2nd, I would have loved you also synergize with other religions, Islam, free thinkers, any type of religion, they have right too. They should all come together to look at potential leaders of that country and ask them questions. Who are you? Where is Nigeria? What is expected of the next leader? What is the true state of Nigeria? There are 2 things here. State of Nigeria, true state of Nigeria. It's a world apart. One is for deceit, to continue to deceive segments that are considered as stakeholders of Nigeria. And the other one is totally the truth that is always kept hidden. Now I start. Having talked to about the summary of what is expected of any leader. The 2nd, from what you have spoken, and let me start from the speeches of Mr. Khan, President. Your speeches are rich, or is rich. Every sentence carried big meaning. But the total summary of what you talked about are solution to Nigeria's problems, projected. Economy, Nigeria is in a reversal order. Nigeria, in her economy, let me start in a nutshell because I have a very little time from what I'm given. Dirty oil politics. Dirty oil politics international. Dirty oil politics domestic inside Nigeria. It started fully 1972. And one of our leaders, the most senior president or head of state of this country, who was brilliantly doing well, was staged out using his brothers from international community for his refusal to some certain proposals. And I want the church to dig it out. That's why some of us have total respect to the person of General Gowon. General Gowon, some of us are ready to give our blood in his defense. Because many people were deceived. Literature was worked out and sent out. He was removed out of ignorance, which became power in some people that did it. When out of humility he was sent to London, a former head of state of a rich country, Nigeria, was queuing with the poorest poor in London to take his meal. He's a Christian, but his character, his conduct, his sayings is that of a father of Nigeria. He's exceptionally humble. I call him embodiment of humility. We had to study him deliberately, some of us. And for a long time, we have been keeping records.